Hello, my little weirdos. Yes, I'm starting to feel better. I have not done anything about art for a long time. So, I thought I would show you something that I have made. Now, I have showed you these jars, these that I've made like this, and then put a clamshell. I painted, yeah, that's a clamshell. Now, I would use like mine. I just put some E6000 as a hinge, but for Christmas I actually wanted to do something that was the colors of my niece's wedding, and for my nephew I wanted to do something that had a clamshell with his colors on a lavender, one of my light lavender jars like this. And but I wanted them just to step up to have a little cover, and the clamshells are adorable. So you can get a big, small, however you buy your clams. So I did this container, and you can see it's got all the holographic, well, it's hard to see, I guess, but it's got the holographic glitter dust. If I did it at night with the light, it would probably show. Okay, so this is basically just one of those sturdy cardboard cans with the metal on the either end, and peanuts or something like that. And I spray painted it and so the cardboard is all sealed. And then I did the glitter dust on top of that, and that was coated a couple times with a clear gloss spray. So, I mean, I wouldn't leave this kind of a can out where rain and moisture can hit it, but it is protected. This, I still have to spray this, but check it out. See the little hinge? Teeny weeny little hinges, and it totally, now these are just my twin colors and my colors. Got all these to make a wind chime. You use a fishing line, clear line, and I just got a whole bunch of those to make one of those where you could take a disc or anything, put a little holes on the edges, because I do have like a solder gun that you can use to punch plastic, put little holes in it, and you can make those little circles and different, right. That's what I bought those pieces for. But this is just, like I said, that's a jar, and I'll use it for something else. When, I've made my wind chimes, but those aren't really needed till the spring because it would get all effed up in the winds we've had this winter anyhow. But that is my most recent thing that I've used as a prototype, kind of. But yeah, so eventually over time I will be taking, here's another different one, and I will be getting that E6000, separate that, and put an actual hinge on it. So I've got like a dozen of those I gotta do. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, at least 7, 8 of them that I know of offhand. I think there's a few in the living room too. But they actually are really handy. These little jars without the lids, I've got one by a chair where I put my remote in, because it doesn't get knocked over easy, even with cats, because you see the bottom has a little bit of a flare. So that actually, I'm going to turn this light off. But yeah, that actually works really well. And then the other one, I have another one that I put my glasses in, just like this one, but in the living room. because I have reading glasses in every room and a little container in every room. So, yeah. So those come in handy. Another thing I've done with them was my acrylic paint pens. That's what I've. These are one of the first jars I did. That was a paint pouring thing. But yeah, that's it's just like buying a container for or plastic organizer or something that you can pull your things out of. But why, if you have the glass jar, why throw it away after you eat the contents? If you have the glass jar, use it. Just being in a dump, because here, I mean, I do have to say, when I lived in Tucson, they collected at your house. You just knew there was, and then you had certain colored plastic ones. One was green, one was orange, red, blue, yellow, and one was for aluminum, one was for plastic, one was for paper, one was for cardboard. Trying to remember what else. And they just needed, we all knew when you moved into wherever, you got the schedule, you got the color coded things, you got a crate, and you had the little rules. Make sure they're cleaned out, no big deal, labels off. Not that damn hard. Do the best you can. Just peel the shit as best you can is all they're asking. Here, they really need to do recycling. But I don't think that's going to be happening federally in the next 4 years. But it should be. All states should have these programs. So, since they don't have glass and such, I figure reuse them myself. Yes, I can only use so many, that's true. But that's why I give them as gifts. And it's not because I just couldn't use any more myself. I'm sure I could find a couple more places to stick a jar, and then I would find something to put them in. Believe me, you don't realize how much they come in handy until you have a couple hanging around. You're like, oh, I could put some screws in that. Really, they really are handy. And just even by themselves, but with the little clamshell on top, that's a me thing. I'm a bit, I like paisley, come on. So, most people don't like this paisley kind of pattern, but, if you're out of the wrong generation thing. I was born in the generation that I feel comfortable, but I didn't grow up in it. The tree-hugging, animal-loving, nature-loving, bright color, just be love, ruffles, whatever, it's all cool. Goth stuff with ruffles of pink and purple and lavender. That's cool. I'm sure most of you have gotten the impression by now. I'm a bit of that. So, hey, without and the people that make fun of me on here, of my hair, my weight, whatever. If it wasn't for people like me, how would you gauge what's unusual and what's not? If we were all like you, that would be a very boring world. If we were all like me, after a while that would be like, boring. Because it's just the same personality. So instead of making fun of people that you think are weird or a little, especially people that other people, I see somebody that has a couple thousand followers and they're kind of quirky. And if it's not my cup of tea, I think to myself, well, they have a lot of followers, so some people are connecting with them. Apparently, it's somebody's cup of tea, but it's not mine. And I move on. I don't hang around that person and mock them and without knowing anything. And that, especially, well, basically, mainly on my political ones. That's done most of the time. So that pretty much leads me to believe the ones who do that are just MAGA Republicans that are trolly, or politics hit a nerve for on them for one reason or another. Because let me tell you something, explain something to you. People's reactions to you, people's words to you, people's actions to you, it's usually not about you when they're negative. When they're positive, yes. But when people are rude or cruel or obnoxious or mean to you, usually that says more about them than it says about you. And it's usually because you trigger them about something they are grappling with themselves. Let's say they're like family super religious, but they may be bi or something. But the Bible tells you, ooh, that's a big sin. Now, I'm not saying the Bible says that. I'm saying they teach you that. So you're grappling with yourself, like you want to be religious, you believe, but you are bi, and I mean, what are you supposed to just pretend you're that kind of situation? Then that'll trigger somebody who talks about that or something, will trigger somebody, and it has nothing to do with what I was saying in that situation, or whoever was saying it on a video. They would have reacted the same way. They just attacked my hair because it was easy fodder. It was low-hanging fruit. Anybody could have done that. It wasn't clever. It wasn't, snark. It was just lashing out. And, sentences that don't even have punctuation and are just like a handful of words. That's lashing out. And most of the time, it's a them thing, not a you thing. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm not saying nobody has had a point, okay? But the ones that do it in that Neanderthal, troglodyte kind of way, like I said, you're telling me with those comments and everybody who sees them that you were triggered and that you have an issue between yes and no somewhere in what the person said. So leaving those comments really does say more about them when it's a lash out. When you're just physically or mentally or emotionally kind of attacks, not topic attacks. When people make that kind, usually it's because they were triggered. And it has nothing to do with the person that said it, whatever triggered them. It has nothing to do with the situation that the video is about. But somewhere along the line it triggered somebody, so they just lashed out at the easiest thing they could. That person. Because they don't know that person. And who they really want to lash out might be a boss or family member or whatever, partner, and that would have more consequences than lashing out at just somebody online. So I get that. I get that when somebody just makes once or twice lashes out. They got problems. They got problems and things that they're not coping with. And they're not dealing with emotionally. And that's why they lash out like that. Just knee-jerk reaction. More often than not, that is what that is. So do with that what you will. But just saying. Peace out.